I'm first off going to start by saying Satan has been after me today. So I woke up this morning and it was like 6:15 and my mom was calling my dad into the kitchen. She was like, Trey, come in here. And I was like, what is she yelling about? And she was like, the cat's throwing up, y'all. I got up out of that bed. My cats are my babies. Like, I'm that person. I'm that cat mom. So I got up and my cat, usually this one is like a rambunctious one. He's like so sweet. And he was just like sitting there and he looked so sad and he was like, there was throw up everywhere and I just felt so bad. So we had to take him to the vet. We're not going to get back till tomorrow, so I'm just kind of bummed about that. He's doing fine. We got back from the vet at like 7:40, and so I started getting ready for church, and I had some time to spare. I had to go run an errand, but I'm on my way to Bethel, and I see the snake in the road. And I know at church today we were talking about, oh my gosh, everybody's been seeing turtles, and I was like, well, I saw a snake, so that's not a turtle. But anyway, so we had church, that was good, and then we went and had lunch with my grandma. And yeah, this is like a story about my day, not my testimony. Anyway, I just told y'all how Satan's been after me today. But we went and had lunch with my grandma, and then I'm sitting in my bed, I'm on my computer, I'm going over my testimony, and I feel something like crawl on my arm. And I was like, whatever, like I didn't feel anything, and then I feel it again. And look down there's like a spider on me.
I hate spiders.
Me too. So I like click it off and I'll kill it. Sorry if y'all are animal lovers, I just don't like spiders. I couldn't do it. Anyway, and that was right before I got here. So I was just like, okay, I can say that I feel you, I know what you're doing, but I'm coming here and I'm gonna have my testimony tonight and it's gonna be good. So let me just go ahead and introduce myself because I haven't done that yet. My name is Madeline Taylor, and I just graduated a couple weeks ago from Tallahassee High School. And once Tiger, always a Tiger, and so by that logic only, I'm going to Auburn. So like Tiger again. So. Yeah. Anyway. So I'm going to Auburn next year, and I'll be rooming with my best friend Laura Fields. Some of y'all know her. So I'm just going to start by talking about like my background with God, like when I was littler and growing up. Ever since I was like able to be out of the house and go places, I was in church. I have been going to Rushmore Baptist Church since I was like a couple weeks old. That's the church that my mom has been going to since she was a baby. That was the church my family has been going to for like years, generations before me. And so when I was born, my mom would go to church with me. Well, actually, backtrack, before I was born. My mom and my dad got married, and my mom would go to Rushville on Sundays, and my dad would go fishing. That was what he said in his testimony. He was one of those people that after high school, I think he kind of got off the, going to church thing, like a lot of people do. So when I was born, one day my mom was getting me ready for church, and I really admire my dad for this because he realized that he didn't want his children going to church with their mom and seeing that their dad didn't go. So my mom told my dad that day, we need to start going to church as a family. I'm going to start going to church with y'all. So my dad and my mom and me and my brother, when he came along, we've been going to church at Rushville ever since. And my dad's a deacon there now. My mom's church clerk, all that. We're involved. Yeah, I've been going to Rushville for all my life. And when I was little, there were a lot more people there, definitely. We had a bigger children's program and youth program. We would have VBS and the youth would have activities. I remember that when I was little, but it was evident as I was growing, as I was growing, and the church was actually not growing. People were leaving. It was dwindling, and not to say like that Russianville is a bad church. Like that's a church I've been going to all my life. Like I love that church, but it was, I don't know, that just happens sometimes with churches. People will just leave, and then it kind of starts a trend that more people will leave. So that's kind of what happened. And when I was in the children's program, they would take us to the Good Hope walkthroughs. I don't know if y'all have ever been to those, but it was like they would talk about church things like that. So and it would be like a walkthrough, like you would experience, like with the people. It would be like a like a play or something. And this one time I went with my church, and I was about 11, and this walkthrough was about the coming of Christ. And so we were walking through, and they showed this one family that was torn apart, like the mom and the son. The son was wanting to be a Christian, and the mom was like encouraging him. And then this other son and the dad, they were like, "Oh, that's fake stuff like Santa Claus." And then it showed like we were in one room with the people that didn't believe. And you heard this loud noise, and you went into the other room, and all that was left was their clothes. And so that's when I started to realize, like I understood, you need to give your life to Christ and all that. But that was the first time I understood what would happen, like if we were to be here when Jesus came back. And so I started to understand, and I was like, I'd never been saved or been baptized, so I was like, okay, I understand what I need to do now. So after we did that, we went back to my house, and my mom and dad talked to me and my brother, and we decided that me and my brother were going to get baptized and we were going to get saved. And I was like true about it, like, yeah, I want to get saved, I want to learn more about God. And me and my brother got saved, we got baptized at Russianville, and it was cool because my dad got to baptize us. Because I don't know if this happens at other churches, just Russianville, but deacons can like baptize people. So my dad got to baptize me and my brother, that was cool. So again, I got baptized, but still, as I was growing older, like the church started to dwindle, and there was definitely a time between like where Russianville was at its prime and before I came here, that there was a couple of years of drought, so to say, because we didn't have any children, we didn't have any like youth program things anymore. Like now, when I go to Russianville in the mornings, either my mom or another adult in the church will teach the class. His name is Mr. Gary, and his 2 kids come to that class as well. So it's me and my brother and the 2 siblings. So if one of the families don't come, it's like just me and my brother, or just Sarah and Jonah if we don't come. So it's kind of like that. It's only 4 people, so it's hard to teach if it's well, it's not hard to teach, but it's just 2 people and your dad teaching you, or your mom teaching you. So that's kind of where Russianville is right now, and it kind of hurts my heart to see that, because that's the church that I've been growing up in, and it's gotten to that point. And I still love everybody in the church. I love that church, but that's kind of where I started getting like away from Christ. And this is how I kind of came back. When I was in school, that's so weird to say. Like I just graduated. I feel like a weird but I'm not. Anyway, so like when I was in elementary school, middle school, and high school, if you heard the name Madeline Taylor, you're like, oh, that girl, she's such a goody two shoes. She'll do the right thing. She's, she's whatever. She's, what was the other word I was going to say? Hold on. Oh, she's uptight. That's what people would tell me sometimes. And I'm like, okay. So that's like what people thought about me. And they also associated me with Christianity, because they were like, oh, she's a goody two shoes. And I was a Christian, but, not like I am now. Like, they're like, oh, she's a Christian, she doesn't have fun. It's like, thanks, okay. I understood, like, what it was to be a Christian, but I had never gone deeper. Like, when people would say, oh, Madeline, goody two shoes Christian, I'd be like, that's me. So I never realized that like you could have like a deeper connection. I felt like you would go to church and you would learn about Christ, and if you did the right things, you're a Christian. Which I wouldn't say I wasn't a Christian, but I wasn't on the right path at that point in my life. And, it had never been a problem that I hadn't gone deeper with my faith up until around high school. Like, I didn't realize in middle school and in elementary school that some people, like, do the things that they do. Like, people will sneak out of their house and go party. I didn't know that was, like, a regular thing. I thought, like, the baddest of the bad people did that. I didn't know, like, people that I knew would do that, or people would go out and drink and stuff like that. I didn't know. I was very sheltered as a child. Yeah. But anyway, so when you get to ninth grade, y'all, let me tell y'all, first day of ninth grade, this is going off track. I wore green pants and a pink shirt. I looked like a watermelon. I was like the typical ninth grader. Anyway, so we get to ninth grade, and I had always had this idea in my mind that I was like, oh my goodness, if I get a boyfriend, I will be it. Like, it will be like the best thing on this planet. It's not like people, that shouldn't be a goal in their lives. Like, people shouldn't want that. But I put it like on such a high pedestal. I was like, oh my gosh, I need to get a boyfriend. I need to have that other half. It's just what I and I think Carson said something like that in her testimony. So she's just really like, both of us, we were really like boyfriend. So I was in ninth grade, and I heard that this guy liked me, and I was like, that was the girl, like, at first I was like, who? And so this guy that liked me, my mom and dad at first were like, I don't know if you should date, you're only 15. And I was like, it's whatever, y'all think, I guess. And so they were like, they had talked about it, and they had like heard from other people that this guy was a good guy. And they were like, okay, we're gonna let you date or whatever, but you can't go on dates, you can only come to the house or whatever, or y'all could like go out if somebody's with y'all, like a parent or something. And I was like, okay, whatever. So I'm in a relationship with this guy, and then I started, and I mean, if y'all know who I'm talking about, not to bash him, but like, he's better, like, he goes to church now, and he's definitely changed his life, but back then, both of us were really just not in a good place spiritually. So, I realized that he, like, was, like, trying to reach for more than, like, what I wanted. And, I had told him, like, boundaries, like, I didn't want to do this, like, saving myself for marriage, stuff like that. And I think that's essentially what, broke us up. We only dated, I think we talked for a month or so and dated for a month or so, and then we broke up. So we just both weren't in the right place, but it just wasn't a good thing for me to be in. And I didn't realize that, not being in the, right walk I needed to be in with God. So, when we broke up, I was all heartbroken or whatever. And he was a senior too, and I was a freshman. I was that girl. Yes, I was that girl. Oh my goodness. So that happened. And so yeah. Fast forward to that summer, me and our 3 other youth went to. We went to this youth evangelistic conference in Birmingham. It was at Stanford University, and I was honestly kind of dreading it. I was like, oh my god, we're gonna go here, and I don't even know if I'm gonna have fun. But it was fun. It was a lot of fun. And I think this guy spoke at a conference that y'all were talking about one time, Ed Newton. So, and before this conference, for some reason, in my mind, I had the name Yahweh, like, it's just another name for God. And for some reason, it would, like, poke in my mind, and I would ponder about it, and I was like, why is God called Yahweh or something like that? Like, why would people call him that? And then, so we're at the Youth Evangelistic Conference, and Ed Newton speaking, and maybe I wasn't paying attention at the moment, but then I heard him say Yahweh, and I was like, that's not a very common word for them to say, I guess. It's not like, people don't usually refer to God as Yahweh. You know, they'll either say God or Jesus or the Holy Spirit. So I started to pay attention, and he said that Yahweh was the personal name for God, and it was like too sacred to be spoken. So that's what God is like on a personal level. And I was like, all right. So I was like making this connection. I was like, I know you want me to have a personal connection with you, and I'm really trying right now. Like at this conference, I was like, okay, I'm hearing this, and I know he wants me to have a connection with him. So I rededicated my life at the Youth Evangelistic Conference, and I realized, that I had been living my life wrong, and that wasn't how I was supposed to be living. So after that, I began to feel more convicted about things. I wouldn't do some things that I had, done before because I realized, oh, that's not, what God wants me to do. But I still wasn't like on the straight and narrow. You know what I'm saying? So, I skipped something. Okay, so once I started realizing, I haven't been doing what God wants me to do, I started realizing there's kind of like that deeper connection. And I was like, once I realized that, I was like, I've done some bad things in my past, like that relationship I was in. What do people think of me now? Like that I was that freshman that dated a senior. And do they think I was after, what a lot of other people are after in relationships like that? I thought people were disgusted by me then. I just had that in my mind because I thought that I wasn't good enough for God because of what I've done. And people think that sometimes that, oh, I'm not good enough for God. But in reality, we all aren't, but God loves us and He wants us to come to Him. He wants to make us right. So I shouldn't have felt like God didn't want me, or I was too disgusting or terrible for God. Like, I shouldn't have thought that. Just, when I realized that I hadn't been doing the right thing and all this stuff came back to haunt me. So, fast forward a couple years. Throughout those years, I had still been pondering about it. I was like, I need to get my life right. I paid attention more in church at Russianville, but Russianville still, continued. We didn't have like youth on Sunday or Wednesdays, so I would go to church on Sunday, go to youth, and then I wouldn't do anything on Sunday or Wednesday. So, fast forward a couple years, I go to this joint youth service at Thelma Baptist, and the churches that were there were Thelma, obviously, Bethlehem East, and First Baptist of Eclectic. So I go there, and okay, pause. Y'all remember Senior Sunday? Where some of y'all were there. Anyway, Adam said we met at a steakhouse. No, we didn't. We did not meet at a steakhouse. We met at Thelma Baptist at the joint youth service.
It was at Santa.
I've never seen you at a steakhouse.
That was with Will.
Oh, Will. We never.
And we was at Santa.
We did not see Adam. Oh, yes, we did. I had already met you at the. Anyway, I met him first at the joint youth service. I know because I didn't know him. Okay, so I met Adam at the joint youth service, and I go up to him and I was introduced to him, and he was like, "Hey, what's your name?" And I was like, "I'm Madeline Taylor," and he was like, "Are you Trey Taylor's daughter?" And I was like, that's like what I'm introduced as most of the time. Oh, she's Trey Taylor's daughter. And they're like, "You are nothing like your daddy." And I'm like, "Okay." So Adam was like, "I worked with your dad for the longest time," and then you told me about when he pulled a prank on somebody had put like a truck or a cow on Craigslist or something. I don't know. It's a cow?
It's a truck.
It's a truck. I don't know why I thought cows. Anyway. So,
Most mobile.
anyway, so, oh yeah, now we're buddies. But, so, you know, I met Adam there, and yeah, you spoke. I don't remember what you spoke on. I'm sorry. But I did like it. I remember I was like, oh, this guy's pretty cool. And then when we left, I was leaving out, and Adam goes, bye, Trey. And I was like, bye. Because people call me Trey all the time. I'm not offended by it. I just think it's funny. Anyway, so I met Adam there. And he started like messaging me on Twitter, you know, the divas and again, you know. And it was like at the same time, it was weird because, you know, I had met Adam and all that, and then some of my friends went to Bethlehem East, like they got invited to go there by somebody who was like a member there, and they were like, Madeline, you should come to this church, it's really cool. And I was like, okay, well I got like 12 people saying you need to come to this church, I guess I'm going. So I went one night, I'm sorry, I don't remember what you preached on either, but I'm sorry, but I did like it. I was like, you know, this church is pretty cool. I had never, like, that was another experience where I was like, you know, these people are like on another level or something. Like, I'd never experienced like worship like that. So I was like, you know, this is pretty cool. I think I'm gonna come back. So I kept coming back to Bethlehem, and I was like, I started making like little realizations here and there. I was like, oh, okay, I need to have like Bible time at night because I wouldn't pray at night. Well, okay, I did pray at night. I just never like was in my Bible. I was like, oh, I need to like pray. Also, I really suggest that if you pray and you're like me, that you write your prayers. Because me too. Because Lindsay and y'all, I'll be sitting there, I'll be praying, and I'm like, I don't know, if we're going on a show car trip, I'm like, dear Lord, I pray that you keep us safe on the show car trip. Where are we going? Are they gonna feed us? Oh my gosh, I love show car. And I saw thinking about show car, and I'm like, I am praying. Anyway, so I write my prayers, so it's just better for me to focus, and I feel like when I say my prayers, I kind of get into the system, like, this is what I need to say, you know, and then I'm done praying. But when I write them, I feel like it's more like in depth and I mean what I'm saying. Yes, girl. Yes. Okay.
Pros on life over there.
So, where is that? Okay, thank you, Justin. So, I had started coming to Bethlehem and I was making these realizations like, okay, I need to pray at night and like mean it. I need to read my Bible. I need to like feel convicted about like these things that I've been doing that I don't like need to be doing. Like simple things. Sometimes you don't even realize you're sinning, but you're like, oh, God probably wouldn't want me to do that, you know, like. So I keep going to Bethlehem, and then we have student week, and that was the real turning point in my relationship with Christ, because I feel like that week I've never felt the Spirit move like I haven't ever felt it. Like, I don't know, when I'd been at Bethlehem before, I'd be like, oh my gosh, you know, there's just such like Spirit in here, and I feel it. It's just awesome. But then, like at student week, it was like that times 150 billion. I was like, I mean, this is amazing. I wish this could be like this every day. And so, you know, my testimony, it wasn't, you know, this big extravagant moment where I realized, or like I was in a car wreck and I almost died, and I was like, oh my gosh, I need to change my life. I felt like my testimony wasn't all that, you know, life-changing, but it's just like my story, and I felt like I needed to share it because not everybody has like this amazing, wonderful testimony. You know, it's just what you're led to do by God. And I want to end with my favorite verse of all time. I said this at my Joe Sewell interview. I think it's in my, I know it's in both my bios on Instagram and on Twitter. Y'all look on me. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not going to say it. Anyway, so the verse is 2 Corinthians 4:18, and it's so we fix our eyes on what is not on what is seen, but what is unseen. For what is seen is temporary, and what is unseen is eternal. And I basically feel like that's the opposite of how I've been living my whole entire life, because I would always want to reach something like tangible that I could like touch, and I feel like that I could, I don't know, have and look at and be like, okay, this is what I need. But you need to like listen to God. God is like reaching out to you. You can't necessarily like look at him, but you can. But you know, you need to listen. Like how I was at YAC, like I heard this from God. Like I've been thinking about Yahweh. He said Yahweh. He explained what Yahweh was in a personal like relationship with Jesus. So I just feel like, you know, I've gotten on such a better walk since I've come to Bethlehem and Bethel, and I feel like, you know, this is the kind of worship that I need to be in, and the kind of people that I need to surround myself with. Like, y'all are so great, and I'm like so blessed that y'all are my church family. And my people back at Rushingville, I love them too. They are precious. I love Rushingville. I love Bethel. Like, you guys are divine. Why do you do that? Anyway, I think that was all I was going to say. Hold on, let me check my overprint. Anyway, so yeah, I think that's it. Thanks.